This easel card stands up, but it also fits right in your envelope. Hi, everybody. Welcome to sunnydaystamping.com. I'm Julie Baca. Oh my goodness, we are making this easel card. Easel cards have been around forever, but man, I don't know, paired with the arches, I think this is such a cool card. I've got some examples to show you at the end, one of which has how to use a photo because this card kind of stands up. So it's like, a frame on somebody's desk. Anyway, super excited about this. So excited to show you how to do it. All the measurements are on my blog post. I've got it linked in the description of this video. So let's get started. For my example cards, I'm going to be using the Everyday Arches bundle. I love these curved sentiments, so I wanted to use those, and then these arches are just awesome and have so many uses. But if you do not have this, you can still make this card. I would just turn these pieces into rectangles. They won't have that cool effect, but it'll still like stand up. So you can give that a try. Now for the accent pieces, I'm going to be using the Flowers of Beauty stamp and die set too. And then for the color palette, I'm using the Ocean Friends Designer Series paper. Obviously, I'm not using like the lobsters and things, but these colors made me so happy and really, I think, set off this card. And that's why I ended up pairing it with the Flowers of Beauty, because these flowers just look so tropical. I thought they paired perfectly with this color palette. I want to show you my first one I made. I'm like, oh, I just did not love it. I loved this paper, but it was just so blah. But then when I made it colorful, I'm like, holy cow, this is the winner. So we're going to start by cutting out our arches. And this is how I numbered them when I'm giving the instructions. I started, the largest one is number 1, going all the way up to number 10 being the smallest. So for this card, you're going to need a number 1, a number 3, and a number 7. So you'll just run each one through your die machine. I did want to show you this real quick. In the Flowers of Beauty die set, there are these 2 strips of flowers, one larger and one for the inside. So this is perfect when you go to cut out one of your arches. Throw that kind of like on the side there while you run it through. So now check out these little flowers. They are so cute, and you can add this as an accent to this card and so many others. You're gonna end up getting way too many flowers that you need, so you can store them for other projects. So what I did was I took little scraps of paper. This is all you need. Like you would normally throw this out, but I cut them to just go with my color palette for this card. And then for the little inside of flowers, I did not want to get glue everywhere. So what I did was use an adhesive sheet, just cut a thin strip like this and glue it on the back of, well, you can do it on regular cardstock, but I also did some with Designer Series paper. I thought the small flowers were perfect to have the Designer Series paper to give that kind of contrast. So peel off the backing and then just stick it down. And then when you run that through the machine, run it on top of here, making sure to line it up with your sticky. And honestly, if the whole flower doesn't have sticky on it, that's fine. It just needs a little bit. And then you can collect a bunch of those different patterns. And so what's really cool is it turns it into a sticker. So all you have to, instead of messing with glue, you just have to peel off the backing. Was I not on the camera that whole time? I'm looking at what I'm doing and not if it's on the camera. So you just peel off the backing like that and then stick it onto one of the other flowers. And that to me is just the easiest way to do that. And then I don't mind putting a little bit of glue on the back of that to add it to my card, but adding the adhesive sheet made that so awesome. And aren't those adorable? You could put these in so many places. Okay, so now we've got all of our arches cut out. Make sure to find them all. I'll be back. There There we go, I found it. It only took me like 5 minutes. That is one reason why it's so important to keep your dies organized so that you can see when one is missing. I also, I will print out the number of dies that go in my die set so I can count them. Now for this card, I'm only using 3 arches. And I mean, you can do all the arches or space them out differently. So there's a thin margin. Maybe you cut these 2 out and then the center. There are so many possibilities. I've got some examples at the end to show you. We're going to stamp a sentiment onto this arch. So you're going to find the one that fits your arch. So this is the one that fits perfectly on this arch. And I just wanted to give you a tip. I like to put my stamp on the arch like that, making sure it's lined up. And then I put my block on it. And now I'm going to stamp. That is going to ensure that this is in the right curvature for your arch. So I'm going to use Berry Burst, and because this stamp block is so big, I'm actually taking the stamp pad to the block. Let me move this thing out of the way. And then you're just going to line it right back up where you had tested it previously. There. Now I want to give you a tip, because on some of these, you know, you can just slap them down. If your stamp has a shape, this goes for all kinds of stamps, not just this one. You can just slap it down on your block to ensure you get the right shape. But what's also cool is you can also manipulate these to be the way you want them to be. So like, let's pretend I was stamping on this one and I didn't really like the way that was curving like that. Well, I can manipulate that. So what I would do in that case is put my block over my what I'm going to attach it to, and then just stick it on my stamp block and see how I'm pushing that up to make sure that is going to be in line. Then when I go to stamp it, it is going to be just where I want it. You can also manipulate it down lower to maybe fit on a different arch. So now we'll go ahead and just glue all these layers together. If you're watching this and it is February 2024, this is the last month of celebration. That's when you can pick a free product with any $60 order. There are a bunch of freebies to pick from. You'll also get my February card making tutorial when you order with me. So now we're going to make the accents. We already made the little flowers that we can add here and here. But I'm going to show you how to use the Flowers of Beauty to create this. This Flowers of Beauty has a bunch of things to pick from, and they're all 2-step stamps. So you have the outline, and then you have the inside that goes in here to color it. So I'm going to be using this big flower, the little flower, and then this leaf here. Now you can use 2 different colors of stamps if you want, stamp ink, but I'm going to show you how to do it just with 1 color of ink. You're going to stamp your outline and now take the inside stamp, but instead of stamping it directly on there, because it would be the same color, we're going to stamp off and then line it up with your outline and stamp again. And so now you've got a lighter shade and it's all from 1 ink pad. Now we'll do the same thing with the leaf. And the way I picked the colors for this card is I just used the colors out of the designer series paper. I just picked those exact colors of cardstock and the exact colors of inks, so it's all gonna match. All right, so lastly, I'm gonna use the Calypso Coral for this little flower. So we already used the Berry Burst, and then this is the color of our card base. This one also has the 2 steps, so stamp off. And then you just need to kind of rotate your flower to get the right inside. Let's see if I did it. Yeah, that's right. Hey, first try. If you don't get it on the first try, just try again. Now I'm going to use the dies to cut these out because I do not love cutting with scissors. But if you do not have this die set, you can just use your scissors to cut these out. You won't get these, but that's okay. You can make the card without those little flowers. So now we're just going to glue this flower to the leaf. You just need a tiny bit of glue. And then we're going to adhere it to this front with Stampin' Dimensionals. Then just remove this backing. It'll make it stick to the card and also kind of pop up off the paper. And I'm kind of putting it so it's covering all 3 layers there. Now this one you can pop up with dimensionals, but I think I'm just going to put a little glue there. I want this coming off of the edge because I think that'll look really neat. And I don't want to accidentally have my Stampin' Dimensional coming off the back there because then it'll stick. So actually we'll just put a little tab of glue right there. And then like that. So this is ready to put on our card base. So let's make the card base. Pick a color of cardstock that matches your designer series paper, and we're gonna cut this at 4 1/4. We're gonna save this for another card. And now we're gonna rotate it and we're gonna score it at 5 1/2. And then at 2 3/4. I'll have all of the measurements for this project over on my website, sunnydaystamping.com. If you'd like to have a printable project sheet, I email this out to my email subscribers. So if you're not on my list, make sure to get on my list. I'll link it in the description below. Okay, so scored it at 2 3/4. So we've got 2 score lines. So let's go ahead and fold those, and we're gonna wanna burnish them really well. We'll go ahead and fold that back, but it actually is gonna go the other way. So I'm gonna fold it and burnish it both ways. We're gonna want this to stand up like this. So that's why you want those creases to be really sharp. Now pick a couple of your favorite pieces of the designer series paper. This one on the project sheet is called the front. This is the front designer series paper piece. And then open it up, and this I called this one the inside. So it's a little narrower. You'll see that. So that is going to go right on the bottom, along the bottom edge. Well, not completely. It's 1/8 of an inch up, but you're just going to want to center it on your card base like that. Now, 1/8 of an inch. Like, I know that is a little bit hard. I made a video on just a refresher on how to read a ruler for card making. And then I've got a free download too, a reference. You can print it out. I keep mine in a page protector so I don't throw it out. And it'll just give you just the guidelines for how that matches up with your paper trimmer. Because there are a lot of 1/8 of an inches in this project. Okay, so great. So now this is going to pop up like this, but if we're lucky, it'll catch on that designer series paper. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna build like a little stopper for this. Grab one of the little straight greetings here, and I'll have the measurements for each one of these for you, so you don't have to figure that out. We're gonna use this one for this card. So I'm gonna stamp this in black right here. Isn't that beautiful cursive? Way more beautiful than I can write. My penmanship is embarrassing. Glue this to the layer here. On the project sheet, I called that the sentiment layer. And then you can either glue it right here, but that might not be enough to keep that from sliding. So we're gonna put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. I think 3 dimensionals will be good. Whoa, I just like completely destroyed that one. There we go. Line this up right along the line of that designer series paper and in the center. Now this is going to keep that this is going to keep that standing up because it's going to catch on there. So when somebody goes to stand that up on their desk, it'll stay nicely. Now grab your cutie patootie little flowers that you made, and we'll just throw a little bit of glue on the back, just the tiniest bit. This is totally optional, these little things. I mean, they're kind of like an embellishment, really. So if you don't have the die set and don't have these, that's fine. And I think it needs 3. We'll put one right. I think we'll tuck it under there. No, I think it needs to be on top. Let's see, what do you like better? Oh yeah, I like it on top. Now the last thing we have to do is add the front. So I like to open mine up, and we're only gonna put glue here because we don't want to glue this to this top part. We want this to be able to stand up. So what I do is put glue on the bottom of this, but not all the way up because I don't want to accidentally get it there. And then I'm going to put some glue here and down. And now line up so that is totally centered there, and push it down, and then double check yourself that there's no glue on the back. Yup, perfect. And then, I mean, is that so cool? And then right there on their desk for them to be able to look at. And then you can put a little note here if you want. And this is optional. You could just leave that blank. Now, this is such a fancy card. We definitely need a matching envelope. So grab your envelope. I like to bend mine back so the crease is nice and sharp. Put glue all over the envelope flap. And then grab yourself a scrap of the designer series paper that matches your card. Line it up directly on that fold line. You can even double check yourself to make sure it's not extending past, and so there's no white showing. Grab your bone folder and rub it along there to thin out that glue. This is why I like to do it on my craft sheet, just so if any glue does come out, and some did right there, it'll be on my craft sheet, not on my work surface. The glue just rubs right off of this, so that makes it really nice. This thing is so worth it. I think it's only like $5 or $6. Holy cow, saves such a ton of mess. I do not like messy crafting. So now we're just flipping this over and using the envelope flap as the guide for how to cut that. And now we've got perfectly matching set. Let me show you some of these other examples. Same designer series paper, so we got the same color palette going on. You can see I used different sizes of arches here to create this. I used 2 different pieces of designer series paper, and then here for the inside. So this card used arch 1, 3, 6, and 10. And this one is kind of different. It's just kind of give you a different way to use your cards or use these arches, is to add a photo. These arches make it so easy. So I just flipped through some pictures that I had, and then I used the arch. I just put the arches on there to frame which part of the photo I wanted, and I figured out, okay, this is the one I wanted for this, but you could use any of these depending on how many people you're trying to fit in your photo. So this one, I just used the number 1, and then I used the number 5 for the photo, and obviously I used more flowers and leaves. And for this one, I did not use the tiny little flowers. I think this is so cool because this is going to stand up on my husband's desk so that he will always know how thankful I am. I put out a new card making video every Thursday, so hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Have a sunny day.